Nothing was ever his fault. Yes, it is Thursday night. Football is upon us deep. Like we're now this far up into football. And we know who's real and who wish they were real. And we know who is back on LinkedIn and is, polishing up their resume. And it's not over. Now, we have a little club within the club here on the show. There's a meme that makes its way around Twitter or X or whatever sometimes where it's like the rest in piss and the guy's smoking we have a special place in our hearts for Brian Kelly. And first of all, I just want to bring this back up again. He killed the kid. I'll never quite completely get over that. Right? The guy says, "Hey, Mr. Coach Kelly, I don't think this is safe. It's kind of windy." No, you'll be fine. I'm sorry. I will never stop being on him about that. In case you're wondering, that's not going to ever change. Oh, and we've been joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Big Bo did. And we're having a little Brian Kelly hate sesh.
Okay.
So feel free to join in with your least favorite memories of Brian Kelly if you have any.
Let me do a wardrobe change.
Quick rope change.
Big L for Brian Kelly.
Big old L. It's funny because, when I usually root for people like him, guys who work their way up, started Division II and win everything in sight. It took a lot for him to turn me off, but he did it. And of course, the killing a kid, as I mentioned, was a big part of that. And never even seeming to show any other real remorse.
I don't know if he has the remorse. I don't know if he knows what that I don't think that word is in his vocabulary.
No, he definitely has regrets. But he did his best.
I mean, I think everybody knew from a mile away when he left Notre Dame in the middle of the night for LSU that it was never going to work out. We just knew that made no sense.
So I'm going to use my own life experience. I was once a platoon commander many, many years ago. And we each have a soldier in our unit who falls in quote unquote love very quickly with someone that you can tell is not right. Not the right person. This is not a good match, right?
Don't do it, son. Don't do it.
Don't do it, son.
Are you talking about what are they called? Something eponymous? Something eponymouses? Never mind.
So I remember this weird, quick marriage, right, that took place between Brian Kelly at Louisiana State University. And we will all, it's like one of those things where were you and who were you with when you saw the press conference, right? We all remember what we were doing and how we stopped and called all our friends and said, "Are you watching this? You've got to see this." Because it felt like a parody. It literally felt like a parody. If you were watching a TV show where they had the same kind of scene, you're like, okay, that's funny, guys, but that would never happen. But it did, and we all watched it. And then, days later, the booty shaking video, right? Remember that one? With the 360?
Oh, yes.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that was where I was like, okay, this is going to be awful, but I can't turn away.
I could just remember when I was on my old podcast and we were having we're interviewing for all these kids. We never talked to them, because I talked to a couple of LSU kids at that time committed, and I was on the back half talking to the guy who was helping these kids get recruited. And they're just like, "No, Brian Kelly at LSU. We're telling you right now, that's it. Brian Kelly at LSU. He was amazing. He recruited us so well. He did this. Brian Kelly at LSU is going to be the future, and he's going to win the titles." And all of us on the podcast, there's three of us, and we're just telling them on the back half, you're like, you're going to quickly realize that is all wrong. And they're like, no, you're wrong, man. 3.5 years later, here we are. And then every recruit that I've ever talked to or listened or heard about with Brian Kelly is that Brian Kelly is one of the like weirdest people you'll know and talk about and hear about, and how he just disappears. He kind of just like does his little thing really quickly on the recruits he likes, and then just completely like disappears. And like sometimes like even his coaching staff like ghost players. And I don't know how he's so successful sometimes, like being as winning he is, but Brian Kelly being fired, he'll get another job. I don't think there's a doubt unless he goes.
Oh yeah, he will. He will.
Unless he goes.
Go ahead,
I mean,
but I do want to chime in and say I really love the fact that Bill just called Brian Kelly a dependopotamus.
Yes.
There are a litany of coach anecdototes. You go back to Steve Spurrier. You can get into Urban Meyer. I have some about Sarkisian and Tosh Lepoy and their recruiting malfeasance with Cal and Washington. So recruiting is a strange game in NCAA. We all thought that Bill Belichick was going to have a leg up at North Carolina because of the fact that he could be such a recruiter that would bring in kids that want to play for Bill Belichick and build up a program, and we saw how that backfired. So Brian Kelly, I mean, he's attracted some talent, but he inherited a ton of talent and couldn't do anything with it. And so for all of us LSU Tiger fans, go home, GEAUX, Brian Kelly.
So the question is, should you bring back Ed Orgeron? As much as I think Ed got the short end of the stick there. Like he won the national championship, and less than 2 years later, you're like, bye.
Right. And all of the, like, look at all the NFL players that were a part of Orgeron's teams up until 2022. I mean, it's like basically his entire recruiting roster is all playing in the NFL at this point. But I'm not the best at figuring out how college coach, like Sonny Dykes is still around. I watched him at Cal. Suddenly, like he had his reputation was zero defense, and now suddenly at Texas Christian, he is a defensive mastermind. I am not good at who is going to be a good college coach or not. So I'm not the one to talk about that one.
No, yeah, it's just going to be interesting for sure, I think, moving forward, because, if everybody doesn't know, there's already a lot of craziness happening at Louisiana State with their head coaching. The president, the governor, everybody's coming out and saying the AD will not hire because the AD, if you don't know, hired Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M and then hired Brian Kelly at LSU.
Yeah.
Known for probably the two worst contracts given out to head coaches in recent memory.
I mean, I'll throw my name out there as a candidate for the new LSU head coaching job. Like, hey, hi, just reach out. I'll do it.
I mean, they probably need to go that low to make, get rid of that, that contract they have to, they're going to have to get some. But
he has a hat. He has an LSU hat. We should hire him.
They did. There was a rumor that like a unnamed sponsor or fan or alum came out of nowhere and said, how much money do you need? All right, here's 80% of that money. We'll get him out of here.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if it was 80%, but it was a very large portion of his buyout.
Is Houston Nutt still alive? He could. Houston Nutt. How about him?
Bill's talking. He doesn't realize he's muted.
I assume that probably James Franklin will get a phone call because we know he can recruit. He's actually likable. He may sit out for a year. We'll see. I think that you'll probably hear. I mean, I keep hearing Dave Aranda's getting a call. We'll see what happens with that.
Houston Nutt, I would like to report Houston Nutt is still alive.
Yes. Oh, he's so alive. He's on CBS's what do you call it? College football show. Yeah.
Give him a call.
Now that alone doesn't prove he's alive, I guess, but he is on the show.
He's got everybody.
Houston Nutt is a deep fake.
Everybody's talking about the other SEC coaches for all the SEC programs. Lane Kiffin leaving Ole Miss for Florida or LSU, or Drinkowich leaving Missouri for
that makes more sense.
This is the thing about Drinkowitz, though. He could be the next Pinkel. He could have Missouri fans love him. Missouri loves him. He could have a job at Missouri for the next 20 years and nobody would bat an eye. If he goes to one of those other programs, he could be out in 3 years.
And this is where we find out how much he values loyalty, right? Yep. Then we're going to find out because there will be phone calls made. If people were smart, they'd be calling people like Ryan Silverfield at Memphis State. That guy is a fantastic football coach.
You want one for me? You want a deep shot? You want to give me Charles Huff?
That's a great coach. Yes.
Charles Huff has done it at Marshall, and now he's doing it at Southern Miss. He changed Southern Miss around quick.
I am a big Charles Huff fan. Look at you. You like the coaches I like. There's a lot of good coaches out there who deserve opportunities. Some of them won't get them, right? Because some people value names like more than they value results. And that's how you end up with Brian Kelly. But enough of dumping on Brian Kelly for the moment. We do have to have other things we're supposed to get to, I think.
Well, the big news is Penn State is probably out of a head coach. They already lost James Franklin, and news breaking a couple hours ago, Matt Rule signs a 2-year extension. Yep. But if everybody didn't see it already on Twitter, he signed a 2-year extension with Baylor, and then 4 months later was going to Carolina. So,
yes, right. So that could just be foreplay for him. I get what you're saying. But yes, we do actually. I do want. We'll revisit the coaching carousel many times, probably for the looks of it, because it keeps spinning. But there's actually
any chance I get to say Jeff Tedford, I will take advantage.
Tedford, Tedford gave me my Aaron Rodgers, so he
was fantastic. He was turning a Fresno State program around. Yep. If he hadn't gotten ill. I think it was health problems that sent him out. I wanted him to take over in Las Vegas with my Raiders.
Oh, I don't dislike
that would have been.
But I mean, he gave us Trent Dilfer. He gave us the Cars, or at least one of them.
He gave us Aaron Rodgers,
right? Aaron Rodgers.
He gave us Marshawn Lynch,
Jared Goff,
and Deshaun Jackson from that same recruiting class where he beat out USC. Originally, Deshaun was going to go to USC. And I guess
Jared Goff, born in Novato, California. He is the second best football player born in Novato, California, behind me.
There you go. Beautiful Novato. I've heard actually that is that considered wine country?
No, it's Marin County, so it's just north of San Francisco. It's right by the headlands.
Right, so there's no wine yet. Okay, got it.
It's cheese country, actually.
Cheese country.
Yeah.
Hold on. There's only one cheese country.
Oh, come on. Happy cows come from California.
There you go.
We shan't argue California cheese versus Wisconsin cheese.
Those cows are very happy.
Yes, Wisconsin cheese is great. California cheese is great. But yeah, the area where Marin County meets the coast there are a ton of dairies, it's a high concentration of cheese makers. And my partner and I just went on a cheese tour a couple weeks ago for our anniversary. So
that's awesome.
Love cheese.
That sounds awesome. I love cheese. So we will definitely revisit that discussion at another time. Football, there's actual games being played. Some of them with real playoff implications. Yes, like Vanderbilt is a legitimate contender for the college football playoffs. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Matt.
No, I had last time I was on your show, I had some questions about is Vanderbilt legit? And look at us. Look at us now.
Look at them. And look at them. Anchor down, I think, is their thing.
Anchor down is their thing. You're 100% correct. Can we just say one thing? They're playing great. I did predict them to beat Mizzou last week, but we got to calm down on Diego Pavia's Heisman talk. We got to stop. He's been great. But look at his SEC stats. He's 2 for 2 for touchdowns, interceptions. He's throwing barely like under 500 yards in those games. He's a dog. We get it. He's not a Heisman. Like, get that talk out of there. I do not think. I mean, Missouri's probably the better team they beat. I think it's proven that LSU is not that great of a team, so I don't think that's a great of a win for them, and they did struggle against them. I'm going to be. They don't play anybody. Like, I
love that we can pick an SEC.
I still think Vanderbilt's pretenders. They're playing well.
I love that we can take an SEC school if they don't play anybody. Finally, we can say that about the SEC. They don't play anybody.
They don't play. Well, they haven't. They're Vanderbilt. Everybody looks down on them still. But coaching carousel, they better hurry up, or Chuck Lee is going to get a big pay.
Clark Lee is going to get called. You're right about that. Clark Lee's family, friends, neighbors, and agent are all receiving calls and probably like edible arrangements as things begin to go. But yes, they are in a game that, well, every game from them from this point forward is going to have implications. We talked about the Big 12, right? BYU is in essentially almost like a play-in or play-out game with Texas Tech.
Yep.
But I'm going to ask Brandon, Big Bone did, what is your personal favorite game with implications?
I mean, it's got to be Oklahoma, and I mean, where'd it go? It's got to be Oklahoma and Tennessee. Mateer has been hurt, kind of iffy, hurting some of my college fantasy teams, and Tennessee, they're both sitting on one loss, and both of them want to put a good foot forward, and I think this game has huge implications for whichever one comes out the winner. I think they have a pretty easy path. And again, you mentioned Vanderbilt. If somehow Vanderbilt is able to go ahead and beat Texas, which at this point is considered wouldn't be considered an upset because of Vanderbilt's record and the fact that Texas is ranked lower than Vanderbilt, which is, I mean, in my decades of life, that is just wild. But I mean, looking forward, they only have Auburn, Kentucky, and Tennessee left, and if they can go ahead and beat Texas, they might be able to win the next couple games, and then Vanderbilt, Tennessee becomes huge at the end of the year.
I'm going to bring Matt in, and of course, Vanderbilt, Tennessee is huge, no matter what, obviously. But boy, yeah.
There are steps. It's huge in the last 2 years. All right, let's calm down on it. And not even last year, we'd owned them. But no, if you want, like, I could talk about Tennessee and Vanderbilt. But if you want to get my game of the week, I think that has playoff implications. I think right now it's Cincinnati, Utah. You got to talk about Cincinnati. You know, there's 7-1. Utah's probably on the outside looking in with 2 losses already. But if Cincinnati really wants to make themselves to playoff eligible, you know, their only loss was to a Nebraska team that is unranked right now. So they definitely need to play really well this weekend. And, you know, everybody talks about Sorsby. You know, he's starting to get some Heisman / NFL buzz, but it sounds more potentially Sorsby for 2027 draft, not 2026 draft. So that'll be interesting to see. But I really do like to see what's going to potentially come out of that. Is Utah's defense going to find themselves? It sounds like Dane Pierre, the quarterback for Utah, is going to be healthy and be able to go. He's been a little bit of a question mark all week. This should be a really good game. I hate that this is at 10:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You know, I hate those Mountain West games and those Pacific Coast games because I'm not staying up that late and watching them. But I definitely think that's going to be a great game for Cincinnati. But, you know, I do agree with what Big Bone said about the Tennessee-Oklahoma game. It is a big game. Both of these teams are sitting on the outside. I think Tennessee is ranked I forget where Tennessee's ranked right now, 14. So, you know, Tennessee is favored. This is a night game in Neyland. We're doing our dark mode. We're going blackout. We know we're going to be wearing our black uniforms with our orange numbers. obviously, for the end of October, right around Halloween, we try to do it. It's been our new thing. I think the atmosphere is going to be crazy. I think, the big play ability of our 3 wide receivers and Mike Matthews, Brandon Staley, and obviously Chris Brazel is going to be the game-changing difference, But I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, Big Bone did start Mateer all day, every day. Smash the over in this game. Tennessee's defense can't stop a wet paper bag. They're gonna probably put up 28 to 35 points. Our offense is gonna have to go out there and have a big game. We do average our defense gives up 29 points a game. We put up over 40 points a game. That's how we've been winning. But defense, if you're a defense with how Mateer's been playing, there's likely that Tennessee is the ranked number 2 in the nation for touchdowns, scored touchdowns on defense. So, if you want a nice little potential side bet for your parlay, Tennessee touchdown is a nice little one that might have a good payout. But this isn't a 2.5 spread for Tennessee. I do think Tennessee wins with a total of 55.5. Smash the over and smash Tennessee winning. I think Tennessee does win this game, but it's going to be an ugly shootout, probably like a 42 to 35. Something. It's going to be close.
You just prompted me to look at one of my lineups, and it's Parker Navarro, bye. Damon Williams, bye. Seb Bangura, bye. Caden Durham, bye. Eric McAllister, bye. DeCorian Moore, bye. Camden Brown, bye. I need to do some work after I get out of here.
If you can find any Oklahoma players, grab them. I'm telling you,
okay.
Our defense can't stop a wet paper bag. I hate it, but we're good in some aspects, but not allowing touch points is not one thing we're good at.
I didn't realize this was by Mageddon in college fantasy this year. Also, don't sleep on the UC Davis Idaho State game.
Here we go.
No, I'm kidding. Sleep on it. Idaho State is not good. I just got to shoehorn UC Davis in. I mean, you can see the beautiful campus behind me.
It was almost seamless. The game I'm going to sort of shoehorn in, which has some implications more for one team than the other, but this used to be the kind of game that Miami would get upset, like in past years. We'll see if it happens this year. People particularly would hit on this because in Mario Cristobal's career, it's been something of a pattern, right? Where the team will just roll and they'll lose a game that people didn't see coming. Well, SMU's a good little program. I shouldn't say little program. They're not a little program at all. They're filthy rich. They have so much money. So they're not a good little program at all. They're a good program, period, that could potentially be a great program. And once again, their coach is getting phone calls as well, in case you're wondering. I hear from people who are connected to things that apparently Mr. Lashley's agent is receiving calls. But Arkansas being, the obvious one, but not.
They just love SMU guys.
But I'm hearing that's not the only suitor. I'm hearing that's not the only suitor for Rhett Lashley's hand. But Miami looks like a classic sort of trap game situation. Now, what helps is that Louisville already trapped them. So hopefully, hopefully they won't fall for the banana in the tailpipe twice in a row. But we've also seen that happen before, right? Where a team, you think, there's no way they're going to lose this week, and then but SMU has team speed. SMU has a quarterback who is capable of extending plays and maybe can diffuse some of that great pass rush that Miami brings to the table because he's elusive. This game fascinates me. I still think Miami probably finds a way to win it, but I won't be surprised if they kind of stumble around and struggle. They need to get off to a fast start and sort of, take away the sense that SMU has a chance to win it. I think that SMU probably comes up shy by about 8 points, like 31-23.
The spread is 10.5.
Well, I might go against that. So, speaking of guys who should probably get some Heisman votes and probably won't, now, this is not biased because I root against the Navy all the time, every time. But Blake Horvath is a dude. Just a college football dude. He'd have to play, strong safety or something if he had any sort of professional aspirations. But if you haven't watched this guy play, He went from being basically just a glorified fullback. Now he's throwing the ball and throwing it, admittedly, usually against 8 and 9 man boxes, but throwing it fairly well. Now they've got it's not a balanced attack, but they throw the ball just enough that they can take advantage of the fact that you can't just try to stuff the run all the time. They're a little dangerous. So there are 3 schools, obviously, that run the ball over 70% of the time, and Navy is still one of them, coming in about 73.5%. So I'm not saying they're throwing the ball around like Mike Leach has taken over the spirit of their coach. I'm not saying that. I am saying that if you think you're just going to come downhill and fill run lanes, watch out, because they will pop a pass over your head, usually for big yardage. I think they may lead all of, or they're in the top in college football in yards per pass attempt. And then we just saw Mestamaker, right? We just saw North Texas hang 608 on somebody just in the passing game. So this is going to be a fascinating game.
Westermaker is going to be making some big money in the portal this offseason. I can tell you that right now. There's some big schools out there be like, hello.
I really like gauging how fun a program is to play in CFB 26. I really like playing with Navy, but using the Delaware offense. That's super fun. And then South Carolina, going with the Gamecocks and using the Delaware offense is pretty fun too. Sorry.
No. Yeah. And you mean the classic Tubby Raymond wing tee?
Yes, the same offense that I was a fullback in or right. I was the right part of the T in 1990.
Not aging yourself at all there, sir.
No. In fact, so a little anecdote. The division that I played in high school, we played against Valley High School every year, and Valley High had a wide receiver named Ray Caruth, who I knocked unconscious. And I had a customer come into my store the other day, and he talked about playing ball, and I said, "Oh, where'd you go to school?" And he said, "Valley." And I said, "Oh, nice. I came up at Davis High School, played against Valley, knocked out Ray Caruth." And that's probably why he did the things that Ray Caruth did, was because I hit him so hard. And the customer thought that was pretty funny.
This is the moment where we get the disclaimer on our show. The views, beliefs, and words that come out of the mouths of one Brandon Booth, who is a great guy usually, are not reflecting, of course, the beliefs or the thoughts or any way, shape, or form any of Team MBS. But we love Brandon, and we'll have him on anytime we can get it. So I still think there's more good games to discuss, and some of them are a little further off the quote-unquote beaten path, but
I can tell you what's not a good game was Middle Tennessee State versus Jacksonville State. I can't tell you how bad that quarterback play was last night. I'm sorry. And talking about a school that's going to need a coaching carousel in a higher is Middle Tennessee State. Derek Mason should be shot into the sun. Like, he should, like, how he got to stay at Vanderbilt as long as he did, as bad as he was, and then get a head coaching job 2 years later is beyond anybody that can comprehend college football. Derek Mason, great coordinator. Leave him at coordinator. Stop trying to make him a head coach. I really like the quarterback play. Everything with Middle Tennessee State was horrible last night. But yeah, that was a very bad game. And then I think another school and another team, again, Kennesaw State is somebody I think people are sleeping on. They played Tuesday night, but they easily beat Utah. That defense flies for Kennesaw State.
Yep. I want to make mention, because there's a few other fun games to be had.
Jacksonville State is they got some operators in that squad. They can play.
The running back leads is in the top 5 or something like that in the nation.
Yeah. Does anybody care about the pillow fight tomorrow night, North Carolina and Syracuse?
Well,
I will always care about Fran Brown. All right, he just got the short end of the stick this year with his quarterback getting hurt.
Right.
I'm looking over some of these ACC matchups, and what are your thoughts on Virginia traveling out here and taking on California? Virginia, we talked about a few weeks ago. Are they for real? And they're ranked 15 now. They have a couple wins under their belt. They're coming out to California, and they're probably going to put a whipping on my Bears. What are you guys looking at with the Virginia Cal game?
Speaking of coaches, that not too long ago were on the hot seat, right? Tony Elliott, who's been through a lot at Virginia, and I don't know, I'll never forget not too many coaches are called upon to deliver eulogies for their players, but I watched the eulogy he delivered, and I thought, oh, this guy is going to survive. He's going to make it, right? And I think they went 3-9 or something that year, and they didn't do that much better the year after. But now you see that team now, and it's because Virginia, one, is not a hair trigger institution, right? They value things beyond just how many games we won this year or last year. They think they recognize what they had in Tony Elliott, and now other people recognize what they had in Tony Elliott, and now Clemson's sniffing around quietly behind the scenes. Nothing's happened yet, but in case. That's what I'm hearing, that there's been quiet, unofficial, non-tampering communications. That's what I'm hearing regarding Mr. Elliott and his future. But he has done a terrific job at University of Virginia, a place that used to lose recruiting battles on a regular basis to Liberty not that long ago. So Tony Elliott is doing something right, first of all. He's done a great job in the portal, right? That's the first thing. He's done a great job in the portal. You're teasing us. He's done a great job in the portal. He has instilled a sense of being able to be a big-time football program and still do all the University of Virginia things, like get your grades and take seriously the student half of the student-athlete equation. Virginia is still very much like Vanderbilt or Stanford or, Northwestern in that they really take the student part very, very seriously. So what he's doing to me is doubly satisfying and impressive because of that. I think if Virginia can hold on to him, they are going to have a really good year this year and be even better potentially next year.
I think, and this is going to make Big Boned happy, I think Cal beats them.
Whoa.
It's nothing against Virginia, but Virginia, it's not like Virginia's blowing people out. Let's just look at the last couple of games. Last week, they only beat North Carolina because North Carolina goes for a 2-point conversion in overtime to try to get the win. So they struggled against North Carolina last week. The week before, they played Washington State and barely beat them 20-22. The week before that, they beat Louisville in overtime. Yes, Louisville's ranked now, so that's at least a semi-good win. And and then they beat Florida. They in their last 4 of the last 3 games have been overtime wins. It's not like they are going to the wire out of 3 of the last 4 wins. And I think this is talking about. This is a 3:45 p.m. kickoff, so their time, California time. So this is going to be. Or my time. So, this will be early in the morning for them in California. I'm trying to do the math in my head. So, this is an early kickoff California time. I don't think this Virginia team's going to travel that well going across to the Pacific Coast. I think this is a game with their quarterback in California. We talked about him. I know Big Bonus talked about him multiple times when he's been on the show with Spag. I'll let Bill say it for me because I can't remember his name. The quarterback for Cal, I think I think he could have a good game. I do think Cal, this is a 5.5. It's only a touchdown, less than a touchdown spread. I do think Cal can get the upset this weekend. I just think Virginia's playing a lot of close games, and I think it's going to finally come back and get them this week.
Jaron Keave Sungapolatelli.
Yep,
there it is. Thank you, Big Bonus.
Just say JKS. That's
JKS.
Fine. And what's interesting, I remember posing the question right before my terrible call of Cal upsetting Duke before they came and smacked us around. What happens to East Coast teams when they travel out here for night games and because they're pretty late. This one it's a big noon Saturday, 12:45 start. What happens to East Coast teams when they come out here and have an early game? I think it's going to be easier for Virginia to be out here at noon than it would have been at 7 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock East Coast time. But yeah, I hate hearing somebody say that Cal's going to win because to me it just sounds immediately like a jinx. But hey, if we could do it, that would be great.
I truly think with all the issues that Cal has had, or not Cal, Virginia's had, I mean, 3 of the last 4 games going to overtime and barely squeaking those out, it's going to catch up with you. And like I said, it was almost that it was almost 4 for 4. You know, they barely beat, I'm blanking out on the team, Washington State.
Yeah, the Washington State game was close. The Louisville game was fairly. But also,
that's not a team you want to barely beat. They're pretty bad.
Right.
That's why you should have beat North Carolina pretty bad. I mean, I know it's rivalry.
Yeah. Right, but it's not just that. Carolina's the more talented squad. They got talent. They just aren't very. That was the best game they played though all year. Like you could see what Carolina probably should have been all year in that game. They should have been that kind of team that was that hard to beat. I watched that game, and Carolina played its best game as a team. I
do like Bill being ballsy and just saying we had to try to do something to win and get a big moment and trying to go for the win. I do like that.
And they came up literally, 6-7 inches short. I mean, it was that close. But are they doing it a little bit with mirrors? Yes. I mean, they don't have a lot of talent on the team, but my God, do they play well? Like they play. I know it's a cliche, but they are a really smart, well-coached football team. But they are. They're a really smart, well-coached football team. They tend to avoid making the big mistake at the big moment. They tend to avoid making. So if you beat them, you really beat them. Like you earned it. They don't tend to make the kind of bone it. Like when it's 3rd and 2 and somebody jumps off sides, they don't do that. And then give you the free first down. They don't do that. They don't do those things. They don't, grab, the defensive holding on the other side where the ball wasn't even being thrown. They don't do that. The thing that makes coaches like go gray, where it's like the ball wasn't even coming to your side, son. Why are you grabbing it? Like the thing that makes coaches want to get out of coaching. They don't do that. They don't do that stuff.
That sounds like a
so
Tennessee.
I agree that they're not going to blow people out because they can't. Like they aren't that kind of team. But they can beat a whole lot of people, even people they shouldn't beat, because they really play good football. And I know it sounds sort of elementary when you put it that way, but
when you play against talent can usually win well coached. Sooner or later, that the talent starts winning.
Oh,
and you won 3 out of 4. 4 out of 4. Probably 3. I'd have to back and put level talent to talent, but you're squeaking by. And
those are always the mistakes that watching college football in the fourth quarter of an upset in a close game. Those are the mistakes that teams make that lose them games. And so, that if they can kind of mind their P's and Q's and play smart football, that's usually a good thing. And it keeps them in games. So, you'll have an upset where a team will be making those mistakes while they're trying to hold on to a lead in the fourth quarter. And if they don't make those mistakes, then it's a well-coached team.
Right. And that's why people are sniffing around Tony Elliott a little bit, because they can tell that he can coach. They say to themselves, if he had our players, imagine what he could do. So, I mean, there's more talent at Wisconsin than there is at Virginia, just raw football talent, but they don't have a cohesive plan. You see, that's the difference. But moving on, there's still more games to discuss, and we don't have Big Bone to that much longer, so let's keep it moving.
I have a good one.
Yeah,
what do people think? Because, we were hot on them at the beginning of the season. This is moving back to the Big 12. What do we think with the recent reemergence of Avery Johnson and this Kansas State team with the quarterback-less Texas Tech team this weekend? Texas Tech could be starting their quarterback 3 this weekend.
Right. I think the young man who last was taking snaps was a guy who was a wide receiver recently. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That's fascinating to me because it could present more problems for the other team to some extent. They now have some tape on him, I guess, so now it's not as weird, but they had prepared for this one guy who played it very differently, and now it's this guy. They should still survive. I guess for a little while.
It's only a 7.5 spread. And this is in Manhattan, so this game is in Kansas State. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to lose, but I mean they could lose if it is the court. I mean, if the quarterback 2 is hurt or quarterback 1, I can't even remember which one's done. Like they're. I feel sorry for Texas Tech because they have been horrible with Morton and. I forget the other quarterback right now, but if they're down their 2 quarterbacks or the one quarterback gets hurt because he's been injured, and like I said, Avery Johnson these last 2-3 weeks has been the Avery Johnson we expected all year long.
Yeah, he was the guy who I thought had a dark horse chance to be a Heisman Trophy finalist coming in the year, and then he, did the other thing that Avery Johnson sometimes does. But when they have Baron Morton at quarterback, Texas Tech were a team that was, looked really dangerous, right? They look like they might, once again, maybe run the table or maybe they'll lose one game all year. Having to piece them together at quarterback, especially late in the meat of the season, is not ideal. Obviously, that's not what you want. I think they'll survive at least this week. Now we'll see what happens afterwards.
Texas Tech wins with their defense, though.
Yes,
so
they have a great defense.
Yeah, so as long as they can keep it close and the offense can operate on somewhat of a functional level, their defense is so good that I think they should be okay.
Yep, same. That's what I was saying. I think they survive at least these kinds of games on just the sheer strength of their defense.
Yeah,
but let's hit on a couple more. So the Big Ten obviously has simplified, right, from where the season began. We now have a really good sense of who's going to be at least amongst the last team standing. I think it's pretty clear. Ohio State and Indiana have sort of emerged as the class, but there's a nice still little fight for like the 3rd, 4th spot in the Big Ten, and this week will maybe help to clarify who's going to be in that 3, 4, 5 spot. I'll start once again with Brandon. Do you have a favorite Big Ten matchup this
week? I apologize. I was just checking on Arkansas Tech versus Southern Nazarene. Big Ten. I'm still not an Indiana believer. Part of it is the fact that Fernando Mendoza transferred out of Cal, and he wasn't as successful there as he has been at Indiana. But I think Maryland is probably being a little bit undervalued going in, inviting Indiana. I mean, Indiana ranked number 2. That just doesn't compute in my head.
I don't think it does for anybody.
No, and so like that's a game that I will be keeping very close tabs on, just because I don't know how much I trust Fernando Mendoza. I don't know how much I believe in Indiana at this point, and Maryland is they're not terrible. So I mean, we could find an upset here.
Okay. Well, one, I'm a big Mike Locksley guy, so I'm always happy to hear people saying good things about Maryland. I think the thing about Fernando Mendoza is Fernando Mendoza simply Spanish for Matt Schaub? Perhaps. But in this particular kind of offense and what they ask him to do, he does at a super high level. Right. I agree that nothing about him, like from a pure scouting standpoint, you're not thinking, oh my God, right? He doesn't do things that make you just go, he doesn't. That's not his game. But he's really good at the things they ask him to do. So you have to be willing to see him clearly. You have to be willing to not try to find, like if you think Lenore Sellers is like an exciting prospect, you're going to not like watching Fernando Mendoza. Right. You know what I mean? Like that's not going to be an idea of fun. But if you're a person who was big on Lenore Sellers and your heart has been broken too many times, and you want to see a different kind of quarterback, one that won't hurt you, then you might have a better time watching Fernando Mendoza because he won't hurt you. He'll be very gentle with your heart. So that's what I think, might be the thing that helps you through this. The thing about those quarterbacks who have like unbelievable talent, but like are just wildly inconsistent. Like Florida has a type, right? So can sometimes those guys be developed? Sure, sometimes. But man, that's a dangerous way to live as a coach. Fernando Mendoza, you sleep really well when that's your quarterback. You know exactly what he's going to give you, day in, day out, practice after practice, game after game. If he doesn't do something, it's because he can't, right? It's not because he made the wrong decision or did something he shouldn't have done. It's just, that 22-yard comeback, that's not something he's able to do. Oh, that's on me as a coach, right? I shouldn't have asked him to do that, right? But if you ask him to do the things he knows how to do, he's going to do them and do them on a super high level. I get the not trusting him, and I get not trusting Indiana because, you still look at Indiana and like your brain has all this data, and this doesn't match the data. Like, no.
45 years of data.
Go Google Kurt.
Yes, Google Kurt and Nettie. But like when Tom Allen got there and they were like, hey, look at Indiana winning football games. We're all like, that's cute. But like still, it didn't change the paradigm, right? We was like, hey, look at them. They're going to a ball game. Hey, look at them. They really gave Penn State a run for their money. Like, yeah, it was a feel-good story. Now they're building the Death Star in Bloomington, and we're trying to tell ourselves this can't be happening, right? This can't be happening. There are kids decommitting as we speak from places like Penn State, and instead considering going to Indiana. This would have been unthinkable a year ago.
He has to start building. He's building through the NIL or the transfer portal with a lot of 1-year guys, 2-year guys, and having to do it every year. You have to start building some type of base in Bloomington. And so, obviously year one, people are like, hold on. Year two, you're doing it again. People see you winning and getting kids drafted. Indiana had a lot of kids drafted last year. If you're a quarterback, this is going to be back-to-back years. You had, oh God, I just had his name. Rourke last year, and now you're going to have Mendoza. People are talking about Mendoza as pick 101 as the quarterback. Like, insane. Is he sexy? No, but guess what? He's a guy that could be a Big Ben at the beginning of his career. He could be a game manager for you and win you 8-10 games while you build a roster around him. Mendoza offers a lot of things that, he's NFL ready. He's been playing long enough. But, Kurt Cincinnati is building something special in Bloomington, and it's going to be interesting to see some of these like young 4 and 5s that are coming. There's spots to be played and be starting very young and very fresh as a freshman if you want to come into Indiana right now. So that's the other big thing. You can win, and you're going to be coached well, and you can start early. And that's what all these kids want these days.
We'll know it's real when we see more and more kids with their Final Five, and like it's Michigan, USC, Ohio State, Texas, and Indiana. Like that's when we'll know it's real. That's when we'll be like, oh, right. I sense a disturbance in the force.
And in Indiana too. Indianapolis is a lot of big schools with a lot of great talent. Can you start stealing them from Notre Dame?
Right.
Can you start winning in your own state?
Right. And
I want to throw another one out there for you, Bill. You after San Diego State beat Cal, shut them out. You talked a lot about the San Diego State defensive backfield, how well coached they are, how well they play, and we turn around right now, and San Diego State is 6-1.
Yep.
Coming out of that conference, the Mountain West. There's not really. Boise State isn't. They have a couple losses. BYU obviously is undefeated, but should we be talking more about San Diego State at this point?
Oh, everyone should. Big Bone, everyone should, but no one ever does. So I've just given up. But this, every year they are better than people think. And this year, I mean, they conceivably could be a one-loss team. Now, pulling a BYU upset would be hard, but not impossible. Look, we all love Bear Bachmeier, playing will linebacker and quarterback all at the same time. But if any team on the schedule could upset BYU, this is the one if you asked me to find an upset on BYU's schedule, that's the one I would suggest.
They don't see them. They have Wyoming, Hawaii, Boise, San Jose, and New Mexico.
Okay. Well, then forget it. Well, then,
but also the audacity of naming your children Bear and Tiger.
Right, and Hank, just to piss off
your
oldest.
Poor Hank. Poor Hank.
Wait.
Bear and Tiger.
Did you guys discover peyote late in life? What happened here?
Or is Hank his middle name? And he's like, I don't want to be named fucking Panther.
Right.
Yeah, Panther Bachmeier. Oh, if only. Maybe there's time. I'll check the family, lineage to see if there's any more Bachmeiers coming. I love it. I love that they heard that Charlie Sheen rant and said we have to name our kids after every animal Charlie Sheen mentions. But it is that guy could be an absolute star someday if one, he doesn't get beaten up too badly, and if he doesn't get too antsy and decide to go to Auburn or something where quarterbacks go to die. But
Cam Newton,
I want to mention one or two more games since we.
You guys talked about. Go back to the Big Ten. We talked about it. You talked about Indiana not believing in Indiana. Let's really talk about a team that nobody should believe in, and that's the number one team in the nation, Ohio State.
Oh,
who have they beaten? I'll wait. Go ahead. Tell me who you look at Ohio State's roster and you're like, that win right there. That's a defining. At least Indiana, you could be like, hey, they went to Oregon. They beat Oregon. Hey, they beat Illinois. They beat Iowa. They beat a lot of good teams this year.
Yep.
Not unlike last year where they played the bottom dwellers of the Big Ten, and then their cupcake schedule outside. They at least beat some of these big schools in the Big Ten this year. Ohio State, man, they're undefeated. I get it. But, Texas, that win means – they're still a top 25 school, but come on. Should that Texas roster right now with some of these other schools that are not being ranked, should they be ranked? Probably not, but it's because they're Texas and it's SEC. It's Archie Manning and Steve Sarkisian. And my app crashed on me, and I was trying to pull up the schedule.
Are you discounting hanging 70 on Grambling?
Yes, I'm discounting Ohio. Yes, I'm discounting Grambling win, the Ohio win, Washington. Sure, they've been decent, but Minnesota, okay, they've been. But Illinois, they fell off. Wisconsin,
that's probably their highest quality win, right? Illinois, maybe.
It was at the time 16, but Illinois is ranked now.
But single digits against Washington, Minnesota. 0 against Wisconsin.
Winning. Yeah, but they have none of those offensive have been powerhouses. They haven't played a top elite powerhouse offense, and they don't. They Penn State this weekend, Purdue the next weekend, UCLA, Rutgers. All right, the toughest matchup will be, of course, the game against Michigan at the Big House.
Yeah, but in college football, having one opponent score over 10 points on you at this point in the season, maybe they have had a cupcake schedule, but still, for Illinois to be the only team to score over 10 points against them, that I think that speaks a lot.
Everybody said the same thing about Indiana because they had a good team, and then they got owned when they finally played a real team.
Sure.
I'm just saying this is not the same Ohio State roster from last year. They're being respectful because they're the national championships. They're saying prove to us why they should not be number one. And nobody is doing it. But I don't think they should be. I wish Penn State was at least semi-good because you would think they can win. I'm not predicting that. I'm not stupid, y'all. I've already tried. I predicted Illinois to get a run for their money. Illinois at least gave them the most points this season, but I'm not dumb enough to say that Ohio State as a 20-point favorite against this Penn State at Columbus is going to lose.
So I think what you're saying is that right now this is the epitome of the NIL era, where Ohio State is ranked number 1 and we're questioning them, and Indiana is ranked number 2. I mean, that's NIL football right there.
And I think Indiana should be ranked 1. I truly I understand it's Ohio State being a national championship holding down the number 1 seed, but I truly think Indiana's done better, proven more, have bigger and better wins, and they should be 1.
I think you just took me all the way back to Clint Sterner fumbling against Tennessee.
Oh my gosh, there's a name I heard in a minute. Oh, Clint Sterner, former Cowboy legend. Clint Sterner.
That was a national championship team right there, and he just let it slip out of his hands.
Literally slipped through his fingers. Yes. Okay, 2 more games. Actually, I'm really interested in. We don't spend much time on Georgia, Florida. I think we all know how that's going to play out.
You think Florida's going to win, right? Florida's winning, right?
Wouldn't that be exciting and weird though if they did?
I would now die for happy man. Let's go, Florida. That's the only time you ever hear that come from my mouth. But
that would be the only time. But I do want to show a little love and attention to South Carolina Ole Miss. Now, South Carolina has sort of played its way off, out of contention for a lot of things. And Ole Miss is still very much alive. But once again, this is why people claim the SEC is the quote-unquote best conference, is these kinds of games, is that you can always lose, blah, 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 blah. I don't think Ole Miss will lose, but I do think it'll be a tough game. I think South Carolina will give them a run for their money. I think they probably pull it out late. Thinking like 30-35, 28-33, that kind of deal. What do you say, Big Bone did?
The moment that Ole Miss became real in my brain was when the linebacker from LSU tweeted out that he was dating Lane Kiffin's daughter the week before the LSU matchup, and just like in an attempt to get into Lane Kiffin's head, and Ole Miss won. They beat LSU. That was the moment for me. I think Ole Miss does have an opportunity to go super deep in this playoff, and I'm here for it.
Okay. What say you, Matt?
Hashtag analysis.
I was bullish. I really liked Sellers. I really liked a lot of what South Carolina was coming into this season. I thought they were going to be that number 3-4 school. They finally kind of put it together last week. They should have beat Alabama. They choked that win away. I do like this Ole Miss team. I think Chambliss has been a stellar stud for them. I watched him these last 2 weeks, and I just keep getting blown away by Chambliss.
So you've come around on Trinidad Chambliss now, have you?
Yes, 100%. I think I understand he played at Ferris State for multiple years. He has a lot of starts under his belt. He still has another year of eligibility. I truly think he should come back one more year. I think if they struggle and don't win, I truly think a Chambliss, Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss team next year could be considered one of the best teams in the nation if they can come back and rebuild. Because there's a lot of pieces in Ole Miss and Oxford that could make this team really scary next year. I do. It's a 12.5 spread. I do think Ole Miss wins. I do think it's a tougher matchup because I think South Carolina kind of found themselves last week, but I do think this is a scary Ole Miss team.
And before Brendan has to run, let's really quickly talk about USC and Nebraska. How do you see that?
Do we have to?
You don't want to talk about your favorite your team there?
University of Spoiled Children. This is an absolute toss-up. Like, I don't know which direction to go with this. Early season, I thought USC was terrible, and Nebraska has been on the come for a while. They didn't do so well against Minnesota, but I mean their schedule hasn't been terrible. USC, they've played some real games. They lost in a squeaker against Illinois. They beat a ranked Michigan team. They lost to Notre Dame. I think USC takes this one.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. The game that sort of semi-sold me on Nebraska of all things was the Northwestern game. Now, admittedly, Northwestern's not usually a powerhouse, but these 5-2 teams met, and Northwestern was one of those teams that kind of hangs around. If you don't put them away, they grab you at the end and like shove you underwater until you stop moving. And Nebraska was able to survive against a surprisingly physical Northwestern team. Like when you think about Northwestern football, you don't normally think tough, but they are. They may not be the fastest team, they might not be the most talented team, but Northwestern is tough. They play really hard, and they have a pretty stout defense, except on third down. Weirdly, they're not good on third down, but they're really good on those first 2 downs. Yeah, so I too think USC just has more, I think, talent. Though Nebraska's closing the gap. And I think that USC is figuring out how to play in the Big Ten. Before you run, Big Bone, can you tell the people where they can find your work and follow you, sir?
Best place to do that is go to fantasysportsadvice.com or Fantasy Sports Advice Network on YouTube. Look for my show, The Fantasy Forecast. Also, The Undroppables, The Dynasty Pulse is a dynasty show that we put together that happens every week. And follow me at Big Boneded, BIGBONEDED FFB on Twitter.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. We
Yes.
will definitely have you back again soon.
Yeah,
Always a pleasure.
Coming on.
It's always great to be with you.
Thank you, sir.
Have a great night.
Yes.
You too.
Rapidly climbing our FOTS rankings, starting in the weeds. Already, he's made it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. And with his next appearance,
no. We already said who 5 was. We gave it to
right.
we gave Dave the buff. You can't. No, you're not pushing him back down to 6.
But, okay, you know what, Dave, you held on to it barely, but he's breathing down your neck. Just so you know, Dave, he's breathing heavily down your neck.
So, I think Nebraska wins. I'm giving the home field advantage. It's a night game in Lincoln, Nebraska.
It is.
I do think I think the news today is the motivator behind the win. I think Matt Rule signing a 2-year extension in Lincoln. I think that's going to prove, and he's going to go out there and try to prove to the world that he loves Lincoln. He does. We all know I'm not trying to say he doesn't. We know he loves Lincoln, but he's going to go out there. He's going to put his mark on there tonight and try to get a big win for Nebraska and show that he's building something in Lincoln. And I like USC. I think this is going to be a great game on Saturday night for teams to watch. But I do like Nebraska. I think it's going to be a great close game. I think it could be final drive. It's a touchdown. It's a 6.5 spread. And I'm shocked that they have the matchup predictor as a 72% chance for USC to win. I mean, I do think a lot of things is USC has better weapons. I think Lemon's really good, but I think the understory is Johnson, the running back for Nebraska. He has 830 yards and 9 touchdowns.
Yes, welcome to the Emmett Johnson fan club. I'm not the only member, obviously, but I have been a fan of his for a while. I don't know if there's 3. I mean, I know everyone loves Jeremiah Love. Everyone loves Love. I don't know if Love's better than him. I know that's going to get me a lot of whatever.
I know people. I haven't been sold on.
I think Jeremiah Love is on a better team, but I don't know if he's a better player.
And everybody's talking about Love being a top 10, top 5 pick. Like his Love's like draft stock is like up here, and I'm not saying he doesn't get up there, but
I get all that. I'm not so whatever.
But no, I do think it's gonna be a great game, but I'm gonna lean Nebraska.
Yeah, I mean, you could well be right. USC has been last year's USC would have definitely lost this game.
100%. This is a different USC.
I could not agree with you more. I think this year's team has a little more mental toughness. That's the only reason I'm not with you on that. But once again, we'll find out. I also want to mention a tale of 2 programs in the ACC. not too long ago, this would have been a laugher, a rout, right? Duke versus Clemson this late in the year. Clemson would normally be like a rolling ball of butcher knives, just destroying everything in its path. And Duke would, put up a little bit of fight, but then eventually submit. Duke, my friends, is getting 3.5 points. Once again, I'm not here to tell you what to do with your money, but Duke is getting 3.5 points, and I think they're the better program. So you decide.
Well, you love your boy, who is having a great year. I'm not trying.
I'm a Darian
not
Mensah
turning the
guy,
ball
but
over.
it's not just Darian Mensah. That's a better team, I think. Now, we'll see. Clemson might be rounding back into form or something, but they are coming off a bye.
They just got owned by SMU last week.
Right. I'm aware of that. I did, but just so you know, Clemson is 0-4 against the spread at home this year. Just in case you're wondering. Once again, not trying to influence what you do with your money, but just information. And Duke is 2-1 against the spread on the road. Just information.
Yeah, the Clemson defense is not what we thought they were going to be.
Not what some people thought they were going to be. I wasn't a Clemson buyer. I wasn't one of those people that thought Clemson was just automatically going to be back. I thought they'd be better than they are, though.
I think we all thought they were going to be. Yeah, nobody expected them to be 4 losses at this point in the season.
Yeah, I'm just going to say it. I think Duke, I guess it's technically speaking an upset. I think Duke pulls a quote-unquote upset. I don't know why Duke is I guess it's the home field advantage.
I think it's just because people see Clemson and they're used to them being better. It's again just not wanting to I don't know what you see from Clemson this year. And I mean, I knew Duke's lost 4 games, but they're a better team.
I'm not sold on. I mean, I'm not sold on
that one kind of
automatically being better than Duke. Like, you're gonna have to show me something. You can't just say it's because they're Clemson or because they're playing in the quote unquote other Death Valley, which has not been so deadly lately. So I could well be wrong, obviously, but my upsets quote unquote special, the way we want to call it, is I think Duke goes on the road to Death Valley and comes out with a win.
Let me ask you this one. Going to the Big 12.
Yep.
Arizona State, Iowa State. Both these coaches could be looking for a new job, but I mean, if one of these coaches,
they're not looking, but they're.
But I'm just saying, if you lose this game, you're 5-4. Like, does that does some teams start smelling what
it does? It reduces the level of offers you're getting. Like, you may not get. Now you may be out of the running for Penn State. Now you may be in the running more for Arkansas or more in the running for Wisconsin, than you might have been in the running for, like I said,
Penn State, LSU.
Like, this is the LSU Penn State Bowl, right?
Yeah.
The winner is still in the running for LSU Penn State. The loser is probably looking at a lower level kind of program.
Yeah, I mean, and this is a 7-point spread for Iowa State right now.
Yep.
And
I don't buy 7. I think Iowa State win. I mean, I think Iowa State might win, but I don't think they'll win by that much. That's a surprising number to me.
I'm going to lean Arizona State wins this. I think Levitt's better.
They may not win outright, but I don't think this is going to be a cover. I don't see Iowa State cover.
7.5. So it's a touchdown.
A 7 and a hook? Heck no. This is one of those. Okay, remember the money I told you not to give me to gamble with? Well, now give me the money I told you to hide from me, because this is the money I'm going to put down on this game. That they might not win outright. They might lose by 4, 3, 2, 1, maybe even 6. But 7.5. That means you have to get to 8 to collect. I don't see that.
Yeah, I like Arizona State this weekend. I know I'm a Matt Campbell and I'm a Rocco, but Rocco's been bad this year. Like,
he struggled. He may want to decide. And once again, the Beck family is a great family. His father's a coach. I think he'll get really good advice, and I think he may end up coming back next year anyway.
He definitely, 10 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, not throwing the ball that, I understand that he lost all of his weapons and, is struggling to find new weapons this year. And that always hurts everybody. But, I think this is another great game at 1 p.m. for everybody tomorrow. Or not tomorrow, Saturday. I think it's Friday right now.
Yes, it is Friday right now. Do you have one more game you want to feature before we close out the show?
Oh, man, I was looking at that was the one I kept sitting on the whole time. I don't think I have another one unless you do, sir.
I'll just throw out a couple of quick ones. I'm going to definitely be checking out UCF at Baylor. Once again, another coach whose name is being bandied about for possible jobs other places. I watch East Carolina every time I get a chance. They're playing Temple. If you haven't ever been to Dowdy-Ficklen, it's one of the coolest sort of hidden gem stadiums in America. The food is great and not too overpriced. So get rowdy at Dowdy at least once before, if you love college football, at least once before they lay you in the earth. I'm going to briefly mention Notre Dame at Boston College. I think that Notre Dame rolls, but I don't be surprised if Boston College makes it interesting for a little while. Pittsburgh at Stanford, that should be fairly ugly. I'm going to mention Old Dominion at UL Monroe. Old Dominion, they have a coach in Rick Ronnie, who I think is another one of those guys who's slow building, who's going to turn Old Dominion into a powerhouse. They're going to be sort of like the JMU of the other part of Virginia, I think, at some point. For many years, they didn't even have a program. In fact, when I was in college, we played our games on their campus at Old Foreman Field before they built their new stadium, because we didn't have a football stadium at the time. Now we do. And so I have fond memories of taking the bus from my campus to their campus to play our quote-unquote home games on another school's campus. But Old Dominion restarted their program, did fairly well, made a couple of playoffs. I think even won one playoff game as an FCS program that made the jump. I thought hastily to FBS, but they've been a really competitive FBS program, and I could see them, like I said, doing a lot of what James Madison has done in a different part of the state of Virginia. It has been a joy, a privilege, and a pleasure. Everyone who has joined us, everyone who has watched, listened, tweeted, retweeted, whatever it is, and thank you to Big Boned, our guest. We are going to be back in one more week, but this week we are OUT.